fifth grade. I'm going to be showing you today lesson 18, which is all going to be about estimating and dividing. So very similar to last week's lesson 17, except we're using bigger numbers now. So as you can see, most of our numbers go into the thousands place, and we're dividing by a two-digit number. So remember that you need to be listening the entire time and then working along with me. The first problem is going to be a follow-along problem. So make sure you're working along with me on your board or on your desk or in your notebook. And then after that, your last three problems, you're going to be trying them on your own and then fixing them. So let's go ahead and get started. Our first problem is 8,095 divided by 23. Now, just like last week, what we're doing with these problems is we're going to round both of these factors, and then we're going to divide them so that we can get an estimate of what this answer would be close to at least. And the reason why I'm doing this is so that when I actually start dividing these, because we're actually going to start dividing problems like this starting in lesson 19, having these estimates is going to help me figure out if my answer is reasonable or not. So let's first start with 8,095. I'm going to round that to 8,000. Just to 8,000 because I'm going to look at that largest place value. I see it's in the thousands place, and I see that 0 there, so that means that that number is going to round down. We can still break the rules in this lesson, just like we learned in last lesson, but sometimes we might not have to. So I'm going to write my division sign, and then I'm going to look at 23. Now when I look at 23, I think, okay, should I round this down or should I round to somewhere else so that can be easily divisible by 8? Now I know that if I were to round this to 20, I can easily do 8 divided by 2. So I'm going to round 23 to 20, and that's where it normally would round as well. So I have 8,000 divided by 20. Just like last week, if it helps you, you could cross off the zeros and then solve from there. So if I have 8,000 divided by 20, I have 1 0 on this side, so I'm going to cross out that 0, and I'm going to cross off 1 0 over there. So I used 1 0, so I can cross off 1 0. The number I have left is 800, so I'm going to do 800 divided by 2. And now with this problem, I just need to think of it as 8 divided by 2. 8 divided by 2 is 4, or remember, you can always think of it as how many groups of 2 can fit into 8. So I count 2, 4, 6, 8, and I would count 4 times to do that. And then I still have 2 zeros right here. So I'm going to bring down those 2 zeros, and I get my final answer of 400, which is what 8,095 divided by 23 would be close to if I actually did a standard algorithm to solve that. So let's move on to the next problem. For this one, I'll write it on the board, and then I want you to pause the video and try it on your own. So we have 2,691 divided by 48. So go ahead and pause the video and try to solve this problem on your own. Remember, you're not doing the standard algorithm yet. You just need to round both of the factors and then solve. So when I take a look at this problem, I see a couple of different options that I can do. So I'm going to do the first option, which would be I could round this to 2,000. And this is where I'm kind of breaking the rules. I could round this to 2,000. And then what I could do is I could round this one to 40. And I'm going to show you a couple different ways that we could solve this problem. Remember, if you don't see the one that you did up on the board, that's fine. Sometimes you might think of different ways to do it than I do. That's just why I'm doing multiple examples. So we're going to do 2,000 divided by 40. I'm going to cross off a couple zeros. And then I have 200 divided by 4. Now, when I look at this, I know I can't do 2 divided by 4, but I can do 20 divided by 4, right? So when I do 20 divided by 4, I get 5, and then I just bring down that 0, and my answer would be 50. Now, since I rounded 200 all the way down from, or 2,000 all the way down from 2,691, my estimate might be a little bit off because of that. So let me show you another option. So another way I could have done this, maybe I still could have kept that 2,000, but instead I'm not going to break the rules with this 48. I'm going to leave it at 50. cross off my zeros and do 200 divided by 50, and think of, divided by 5, and think of that as 20 divided by 5, which is 4, and then I add that 0. So again, it's very close to the answer we just got. Some other options I could think of, what are factors of maybe 4? So I know that factors of 4 that are close to 26 would be 24, so I could also do 2,400 divided by 40, cross off those zeros, and then 24 divided by 4 is 6, and add that 0, so you could have done it like that. Another way that you could have done it is 2,500 divided by 50, cross off the zeros, 25 divided by 5 is 5, and then I add that 0. Either way, whatever estimate that you did or whichever way you went, your answer should have been between about 40 to 60. So if you had an estimate that was kind of close to that number, then you probably did it right. So give yourself a kiss on the brain because this is difficult stuff, but you're doing really well. We're going to move on to the next problem. So after I read it on the board, then you need to pause the video and try it on your own. So the next one is 5,484 divided by 71. Go ahead and pause the video right now so you can try this problem on your own. So for this one, again, I can think of it in a couple of different ways. So maybe I could take a look at this and think about what are my factors of 7 and what factors of 7 are close to 54. So that might be the easiest way for me to get my estimate right now. So I'm going to count by 7. So I have 7, 14, 21, 28. Oh, what's next? 28. Let's go 7, brain fart. Oh no. 28, 35, 42, and then we'll have 49, and then we'll have 56. So I would say 56 is pretty much as close as we're going to get to 54. So I'm going to round this to 5,600 divided by 70, because I know that 7 is a factor of 56. I didn't have to round too far away from this number, so the closer you are to the numbers that you're trying to estimate, the closer your estimate is going to be to the actual answer. So I have 5,600 divided by 70, so I'm going to cross off those zeros that I used, and now I have 560 divided by 7. So 56 divided by 7 is 8. And then I'll add that 0 for my final answer of 80. So if your final answer was close to that, then you did an excellent job. I'll show you another way that I could possibly estimate this too. So for this one, maybe I could round this to 6,000. I could try to round that to 6,000. So I'm kind of rounding far away from this number or breaking the rules, but I could possibly make it work. And then maybe I'll really break the rules and round this to 60. And then round from there, and my answer would be about 100. And this is what I mean about your estimates being kind of far away. The farther you get from the number that you're originally rounding, the farther away your actual answer is going to be. So while 100 is still pretty close to 80, it's still pretty far off. And if you were to use an estimate like this for actual division problem, you might get a little bit confused. So try to keep your estimates as close to the actual number as possible. All right, and like I said before, if you had a different answer, but it's at least close to this, then you're on the right track. There's a lot of different combinations you could possibly do. You just have to find those. So let's take a look at our last problem for today. This is a quick video. So for our very last problem, we have 9,215 divided by 95. Go ahead and solve this problem on your desk or in your notebook, and then unpause the video and you can follow along with me. So for this problem, I have a couple of different things I could possibly do. The first way that I would like you to start doing is take a look at this number right here and think, what are the factors of 9? Well, I know that I could do 9 times 9, which is 81, so that's kind of close. I could also do 9 times 10, and I can get 90, so I might try that. So I'm going to change this to 9,000. 9,000, and then I'm going to divide it by 90. Again, I am breaking the rules because 95 would usually round up to 100, but it's still close enough, and I can break the rules so that I can easily solve this problem. So I'll get rid of my zeros. 900 divided by 9, so I think of 9 divided by 9, which is 1, and then I add my 2 zeros, and my estimate is about 100. Another way that you could have solved this problem is you could have just rounded this number all the way up to 10,000. I could have rounded that all the way up to 10,000, and I could have done that divided by 100. So I would get rid of 2 zeros in this case and be left with 100. So very similar to the last problem. So you have a couple of options. So I'm just going to show these two, but again, if you did not see the one that you did, that is fine. And if you have any questions, please make sure you just raise your hand if you're confused about any of the estimates that you got. So today's problem set is going to be very similar to last week's problem set. You're going to be doing the lesson 18 problem sets, and it's just going to be problems B through I. If you finish early, you can do the other problems for extra practice. And your homework for tonight is also going to be lesson 18 homework sets B through I. If you have any questions or you want a small group, please just raise your hand and ask for help. And good job today.